Guess who's talking is Teresa Austin, and we are still here today with Kris and Scott from Windigo Logistics Perishable, continuing our conversation about their contract that they just ratified, their historic, wonderful contract. So what happened during negotiations?
Well, negotiations went incredibly smooth. So the company waited until literally, I think we had 6 days before our contract expired. Which freaked a lot of people out.
Anxious.
A lot of people were really anxious about that, because we're not doing contract extensions or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I was worried about it. I'd never been through the process before, and it was like 6 days. If we run into any hiccups, we're going to be in trouble here. So that said, it did go really well. The bargaining committee, which was made up of all the stewards, we worked very well together. I mean, I want to thank all those other stewards out there.
Swazo even came back. He's now as a station. He came back to help us on it.
Big Swaz came?
Yes.
Yeah. And also, we got help from alleged retiree Vincent Shaw. He came, Scott Anderson, and then, of course, the dean, Herb, and our business agent, Joe Smith.
We had all the big guns.
We had all the big guns
They came in there.
for this one. And then on the company, as the company, they did well about listening to us. And then, we both moved on and off of things. We didn't really come to a stalemate. There was a close call when we dropped our economics, because we kind of shotgunned them on economics. So we hit them for wages, we hit them to fix the 2-tier healthcare system, we hit them for more vacation, more holidays. Trying to remember what else there was. There was a bunch of stuff, and they basically, declined, all of it. And then they passed us, I think their first initial pass, it was like $5 over 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Which wasn't great at all.
I'm like, I just went to the grocery store twice this week.
Yeah.
And go down. Say, I admire your gall on your, what you guys are putting out.
Thank you for the audacity.
And,
for the amount of money you're asking, right?
And what ended up happening is Dean, after that, we had break for the day, and then, Dean and I had gone downstairs, and Dean told them, if you guys don't fix this healthcare, you're not getting a contract. And that was the truth of it. We weren't going to move. That was one thing that we could not move off of, was that. And what our proposal was, too, is we tried to ease it on them, is so what it is after 5 years, you can get into the legacy plan, which was the top tier of that 2-tiered insurance program. And so what that did is there was only 36 members that they were going to have to move into it that currently weren't already into it. And then the rest of us, you got to do your time, and then you get into that better health insurance. But it lowered that expense on the company, so they're not, having to jump in with everybody on there.
And for the member, that 5 years of service puts you also in another category. You were vested into your pension. So you acquired both those things at the same time. And I think that's a win-win for somebody that's in there and thinking that, is this a job or is it a career? And I mean, and I had that moments for my first couple of years was, is this a job or is it a career? And I snapped quickly and said, hey, this is a career. I read the contract and seen the progression, the pay progression, and back then was great. And those guys are seeing it now. They really are. All those members in there, a lot of them are pretty happy about the insurance. The ones that just snapped at it right now, the pay decrease that they're going to get in paying that. I mean, it's a car payment that some people were paying, and that's totally wiped off the books for them. And it's down to what, $200 for a family now, a month versus 4 or 5.
And those savings are important. Like, I've been to the grocery store a couple times this week, and every time I go, I'm just like,
cart gets smaller every time you go, doesn't it?
I need it.
What's inside of it? Yeah.
If you have a family, like, I don't know how people feed themselves.
No.
Like, really, if you don't have a good Teamster or union job, I don't know how people survive. Like, gas is expensive, food is expensive. And when you tell me healthcare, because here's the thing about healthcare, we negotiate our healthcare in our contracts. I did have a job when I was working 2 jobs, and UPS was my insurance. And every year of this job, they would be like, do you want to get our insurance? And I was like, because the plan was never all of this. I was like, okay, I'm going to look into it. And every year, the price kept going up and up and up.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what literally made the difference between me sticking with a non-union job, which I actually liked the job that I did. I couldn't stand the people I worked with. They were demon spawns. But I actually liked the job. And I love the people that I work with at UPS. But I wasn't sure if it was something I want to do long term. It was literally the benefits.
Okay.
Because as a single mom, I knew I was not ever, like, the price of insurance, it goes up. And my $10 copays made the difference between me taking a non-union job and me keeping my union job. Because I never planned on being a driver. That was never the goal. I'm glad I did it, but it was never the goal. And then the more I got involved, the more you realize how important all of this is. And you tell me that your pension, we all know how old I am. I'm 48, so I don't know how many more years I'm going to be working. But when you think about pensions and 401ks, all that's negotiated into these contracts. And you said that you guys got better health care. These people are now vested, and are the younger people that end up being vested, the 5-year people?
Yeah, for the most part.
Because of the constant turnover, that warehouse became a junior majority warehouse.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. I don't know what the cutoff is or where it might be at, but there's quite a bit that are under 5 years, and some under 10 years is even more. That window of time, those window of seniority right there is very big. The senior people are probably maybe over 20 years or maybe 15%, maybe less.
Even.
I think I'm pushing it there because we had talked about another insurance thing to help people transition to retirement, and we calculated it was like 6 people that were qualified for that, right?
Yeah.
And there were some other proposals that we had out there that didn't work out, but
So, for a quick second, I just want young people to understand this. I, too, when 20 plus years ago, did not think about retirement, 401k. I was like, that's some old people talking.
yeah.
And this is what happens. One day, you too shall be 48, and you may or may not have kids, whatever your choice is. You will think about things like, oh my goodness, I've only got, if I'm lucky, another 20 years of me actually working full time, and I'm going to be tired. So what am I going to live off of? And that's why pensions and 401k and negotiated contracts are important.
The 20-somethings are listening to you right now.
I really do. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I was stupid. I was just doing too much. And now the 48-year-old me has 27-year-old children and a 16-year-old. And I'm like going, thank God I have a plan. Because then I don't have to worry about my kids or anybody else trying to take care of me.
Yeah.
Going back to the negotiation thing too. So, Dean had said that, and then the next morning, me and Kris showed up early. We were comparing notes and stuff, and Greg had come in, and he is the CEO of Windigo, and we were having a conversation, and he was like, "Oh well, Kroger just dropped their quarterly report, and they're up for the quarter." And I was like, okay, this sounds good for us.
Right.
So it was at that moment that I understood why I think Greg waited for the 6 days before, because he wanted that quarterly report.
I was gambling on that.
I think he was gambling, and then it turned out good, so he was able to turn around and say, hey, Kroger, he used this thing that I've got a bucket of money, but there's only so much in it. Well, I think he turned around and said, Kroger, put some more money in my bucket because we got some things we got to fix over here. So then that day, they came to the table.
Bring a bigger bucket.
Yeah.
Just bring a towel. Just bring one of those trowels that they use for the horses and stuff.
Right.
I'm from Texas. I'm allowed to talk about horses and longhorns. Those big trowels that they use to feed those animals. Just like that.
Yeah. Right. So, that morning, because it was their turn to pass back to us, so they came back and said, hey, so we're going to do that. We're going to get a tentative agreement, a TA, right, on your health care proposal. They TA'd that, and then they passed us some real wages, and I think it was right around, was it $8 over the 4 years? I think it was $8 over the 4 years. And then, we went back and forth one or two more times on vacations and holidays and stuff like that, and we ended up landing on $850 over the 4 years.
Right, we lost the vacation, the week of vacation that we were asked for, squeezed in a personal day.
Yeah,
and that was kind of where we were tapped out pretty much at that point.
Yeah, we had made Greg tip the bucket upside down. We made sure that everything fell out of that bucket. You know, it really squeezed them to get that last 50 cents out of them.
So this is a redundant question. Are you guys happy with the results?
Yes.
I'm happy with it. I know there's always some, hindsight. There's a couple things you would have wanted, but they get outshined for what happened.
Yeah.
You know.
There was one thing that I really pushed for. So last year I spent about 9 months kind of working with the corporate team. We had several meetings on it, and I actually had to wait for the perfect case for a member to get fired on our marijuana policy. And so Windigo did change the policy. They treat it like alcohol. At the end of the day, we finally got there, and this was prior to contract negotiations. And I wanted that marijuana policy to be contractual. And that was the one thing that I had to let go of because they weren't going to move off of it. They weren't going to allow it to be in the contract. We did get an LOU that if they want to change it, they first have to come to the union to make that change, which does mean a lot. It means they can't just snap their fingers and get rid of that.
Then he gave his word that they keep it as is. So far for now.
Well, that marijuana thing gets tricky because, there's these wonderful states like Texas that hate the Lord's lettuce. And so it's like, I think they worry that if they say yes in Colorado, because if you know a Texan, actually you do know a Texan, I'm a Texan, we're going to push it too far. And we're like, well, in Colorado, they allow us to smoke weed. The people in Texas be like, but down here, we don't do that. You can bring a Bible to work, but don't bring weed. So that's probably why it's that slippery slope of
it is
how far.
Without getting into all the details of it, the hardest thing is right now there's no true testing to prove that you're intoxicated at that moment. It just proves that you've used in the last 30 days. And my stance has always been something shouldn't be held against me what I did on my Friday night.
You do it at home is your business.
Yeah, and then I show up on Monday morning, 2 days later, sober as a bird, but it's being held against me, So we found some middle ground there. And honestly, some guys have had accidents. They've been positive for marijuana, and they've got to keep their jobs. Which wasn't happening before.
There was a lot of scared people in there that thought they were going to lose a job.
Yeah.
And they know who they are.
Right.
Okay, so our topic that we're going to go to next is what is Workforce Wednesday? We've been skating around at these last two episodes. Tell the viewers, the listeners, what is Workforce Wednesday?
So Workforce Wednesday, 2 times a day, we basically shut production down in the building. So I put a page out. Anybody that's on the floor can come up to the break room. We do it at the start times of the selection shifts because those are the 2 biggest shifts in the building. And then, anybody else that's in the building, receivers, loaders, the forklifts, they can all come up and attend the meeting.
The majority of the people were there because the fork shift starts an hour before selection. So those are 2 major shifts, and they're all in the building at the same time. And that's why we chose those.
Yep, and we shut down production, and management isn't present. Management gives me a couple things to talk on, like our volume for the day. I need to get that out to the members, the safety topic for the day, and the safety topic. And then that's all the management has to do with it. I just have to do the rate challenges for them, and then it's our topic. So every week, Kris and I are, hey man, what are we going to talk about? What did we hear at the monthly meeting? What did we hear about other contracts, going on? I mean, whenever we're here, we're always talking to the other business agents and stuff like that.
And trying to find things to talk about.
Yeah.
So, Josh, UPS has this thing called Neptune meetings. It's supposed to be a safety meeting, which kind of reminds me of your Workforce Wednesday. And when I was a safety co-chair, I was in there talking about, I was informing the members.
Yeah.
And then this one time, someone went too far. It actually was not me this time, but I did say it was me. And then they're like, yeah, they're talking about union. I'm like, this is a win for all of us if the members are informed. And I wish UPS had kept that, because I wasn't trying to downplay safety, but I also feel like these people should be informed. And I'm telling you, an informed Teamster is a productive Teamster, is a safe Teamster. We all want the same goal. It does nothing for me when my coworkers don't come to work.
Well, you make it an atmosphere where everybody wants to stay there, and that helps the company in the long run.
I wish UPS got
long term, And I remember when he came to me the first time, and he goes, "Hey, check this out. I got this idea, right? And I'm like, okay. He runs it down to me, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be a tough sell, man. Oh, I already got it. I already talked to Marvin. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, what are you coming to me for? I need a partner in crime. And I said, oh, okay. And I don't remember the exact words that we used. And I told him, he told me, he goes, I never really talked in front of people that much before, though, Kris. I'm kind of worried about that, right? And I said, well, just be yourself, man. And he goes, well, you talked in front of the new hires, man. Why don't you come with me, right? Help me out. And I said, well, I mean, that was 4 or 5 people at a time, you know. This is a whole group of people, and you know, 50, 60-ish. And you know, the words were, well, we'll F it up and to figure it out together, man, which is what we did. You know, you stumbled around in the darkness at first and mumbled, and both of us and didn't know what we were going to talk about. We tried to invent topics, tried to come off the top of our heads sometimes, called each other at night, like, hey, what do you want to talk about? Okay, well, I'll talk about this. I was going to kind of talk about that, but you snag it. You do it, and I'll think of something different. How about this? That way we're not talking on the same subject. And it just kept evolving from there. And I always tell the guys there, I say, hey, this spot on the floor, because we always stand in the same spot, is for any Teamster that wants to come up and speak. This is your spot. It's not the Scott and Kris show. Any steward, any member, anybody has a topic they want to address. You come up here, you speak on it, and then things started evolving into other issues that we would be able to address. You know, that we're never being able to be addressing that fast-paced environment that we have out there, and people can get along for them. It's 10 minutes is the meeting, and management allowed us. They have 5 for theirs and 5 for ours. When we kind of lead into their 5, I'll be honest, and we address the topics that are out there on the floor, whether they be the most minuscule thing of, hey, pull your pallets, right? And little things like that all the way up to, hey, my healthcare, help me, you know, type things. And you get to address stuff like that a little bit easier in this setting, I think.
Yeah. And how it came about is, so when Windigo first took over, we were in the hole, you know, again, 50% absenteeism. And we've gone through this cycle multiple times where they hire a bunch of people, we start doing good, we're getting done in 8 hours, things are going well, and then it would fall off again. And that was the cycle with Americold. They would go, we do good for a few months, fall off, do good for a few months, fall off. And so the cycle was repeating with Windigo again, too. And one day there was an incident happened. I don't remember what it was, but I went up to go see Marvin because I had to put the spire out right away. And Marvin was frustrated, you know, our assistant GM, and with the situation, and the cycle was happening again. And so I pitched to him. I said, hey, Marvin, I have this idea. I want to speak to the members without management present. And that way, you know, we can tell these guys, hey, guys, we need to come to work and do our job. And what I was going to use for it, I told him straight up, was I'm going to use our contract. It's coming up in a year. I know that if we're not getting this work done, we're not getting a good contract. So it's beneficial to both of us. But push come to shove, if I get the ship running right, we're going to put the screws to you guys come contract time, you know. And so Marvin said, okay, do it. He gave me the go-ahead. And yeah, that very first one, I can remember, you know, I was honestly shaking. Like, you know, I couldn't sleep the night before. I was nervous, you know, going in there and telling these guys, you know, because you are kind of beating the company's drum when you're saying, hey, guys, we got to come to work. We got to get this work done. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's the truth, you know, and I think this membership needed to hear it from somebody that does the work alongside them, that's there doing the long hours, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So that was the start of it. And then from there, honestly, I started watching like TED Talks and all this stuff on public speaking and like how to improve myself, on how to become better at it, and you know, not be so nervous. And then eventually we figured out a formula, because what had happened was we were doing mediocre. There was a little bit of improvement, and I had went to the company. We have an attendance bonus, and it was at $2 an hour, and $2 an hour extra on 40 hours was $80. $80 doesn't get you far nowadays at all.
It'll get you take your gas.
Yeah.
If you go to Costco and you get your booze there, it'll get you Hendrix for $35.
Booze.
Just so right. I can tell you what to spend $80 on it.
That money doesn't go that far. And so I sat down with management, and we were doing it too as stewards, is we were focused on that 10% that doesn't do what they're supposed to do. we were focused on the guys that don't come to work, the guys that aren't pulling production, the guys that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And I told management, I said, guys, we have to stop that. We have to focus on the people that come to work, the people that are in, because I can't make the guy that's not coming to work come to work. What do you want me to do? I told Todd, what do you want me to do? Go to his house and, duct tape him and drag him in here, like what am I?
Ask your boss, does he have a teenager, and ask him how that works out trying to get a teenager out for school.
So, and they, again, they listened. And so they bumped the attendance bonus up to $5 for that week, and then they continued to do it. And I also believe on the weekend too, because we were bombing, so they bumped it up to $7 on
Saturday and Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday.
Take some notes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not gonna make me want to come to work, but take some notes. Other people,
and that's another aspect that we have in the contract now is that attendance bonus.
Yeah, is that attendance
right?
bonus?
And the floor is $2. They can go to wherever they want to on it, depending on the volume and and their needs.
So how do you guys notice the culture switched when you guys instituted Workforce Wednesday?
Real quick, I just want to finish where I was going with that. So Todd came to me, he said, hey, we heard what you said, so we're going to bump it up to $5, and we're going to focus on rewarding the guys that do come to work, that do the job, even though it's expensive for us, And so I took that, and Kris, he'd gone temporarily to night shift for some training purposes, and so I announced it on the morning, and I told the guys, hey guys, I went in there, I said this, I need you to respond. You need to show up to work. If you want this kind of money and you want to show them that this works, show up. And then I started who are we? We know who we are, right? We're Teamsters.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, which is what's going to lead into your next question, is where I think we saw that.
So when the talk, because I've been
We're
saying,
probably going to go a little, sorry, we're going to go a little longer. I just, the guys are out.
okay, we'll go maybe another, I think we can get it done in 5 minutes. And
Okay.
it goes in about 45 minutes. Well, you guys covered a lot of my questions. Let's see. So we covered when the culture changed. I agree with you. I think that what you guys are doing with Workforce Wednesday is absolutely wonderful. I know we need to get back to that at UPS. We need to figure out a way for us to get our members engaged, especially on the driving side, because people are very disenfranchised with my job. So like when somebody tells me something because they heard about our contract, oh, you guys make good money. And then I tell them it doesn't matter if I don't have time to spend it. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm so tired from working 60 hours in a week, like it's not sustainable long term. Like, I'll tell you right now, during Christmas, I signed up for 60 hours, but I also signed up for 60 hours with a helper and a truck. It's not me and 300 stops. When you're doing that the rest of the year, it doesn't matter what job it is. If you're doing that the rest of the year, it's not sustainable for people's lives. There has to be this work-life balance, because even if you don't have kids, it's something about being able to go home, decompress, and not think about your job, and to be able to do something you may love, whether it be fishing or golfing or knitting or playing video games or whatever it is that makes you decompress. I don't think any job, if you're working that many hours, it's not sustainable. And if you are not a union person and you are working 2 jobs and any of those jobs aren't union shops, just realize the union difference makes a difference. The Teamsters makes a difference. You heard of these gentlemen talk about the contract they negotiated and how much money they got in, the safety protocols, the Workforce Wednesdays, all of that makes a difference. It's so nice when you go to a job and it's not just you talking to somebody else. It's you talking to your other brothers and sisters. So I just want to commend you guys for Workforce Wednesday, because I know it makes a difference. Because I've seen it wasn't called Workforce Wednesday. It was called Neptune meeting. Oh, Dennis isn't the labor manager, so I could talk about it. But same thing, except I was technically not authorized to do that. And so I just want to commend you. So I have a question. How do you guys feel Locals 455 leadership has supported the efforts of Windigo, not just with your contract negotiations, but with Workforce Wednesday and just in general overall?
Instrumental. I have to thank, Dean and Alan and Herb and Jake Kutra, the organizer here, and And Ian Mohair came to one, and even some of the other business agents are also very interested in it because they all came and they all spoke to the membership. I mean, Alan started there is on the T-shirt, right?
Came in there that day, man. That room was electric, and everybody was talking about that F round and find out after that. And Josh Silas made these shirts for a couple people just to share, and he told me, Kris, here, I'm giving you one. I charged the other guys. He goes, but you're wearing this in Workforce Wednesday. I said, okay, I got you. And I did it for most of the Workforce Wednesdays, especially the ones leading up into the contract. And I think that senior membership or leadership coming in there and talking to our membership was detrimental. The guys seen it from the members seen it from a different perspective of that these people out here, that they're out there in the background. I always would say that. I say there's a lot of people in this union, in the local, that are looking out for you guys in the background. You just don't see it. You don't hear about it. We're going to try to give you some of it here in this Workforce Wednesday with the time that we have. But you don't see it, and there's people working for you always in the background. So, I mean, I want to use this time. This is a challenge to everybody in this local, everybody here, all the business agents, all the union stewards. You've heard the blueprint, okay? How to start your Workforce Wednesday. Do it at your barn. This is a challenge to every barn out there. Get your members involved. Get together with the leaders in your barn. Go to management and present them the idea. Let them know how it led to a strong contract for our barn, and how it will help their company in the long run to keep members there, to keep employees there. People will see that it's a career, not just a job anymore. They're going to want to stay there long term. They're going to see the long term benefits. Hell, all the locals out there in this country, share this with somebody, and everybody get involved in this type of stuff. And I think that this is something that is beneficial to everybody, not just the members, not just the company, that your community around you. I think if we get a strong contract, the next person tries to one-up it, right? And then the next member, next barn tries to one-up it, and it goes on and on and on. And that's my challenge to everybody out there.
Yes.
Love it.
I love it. Sky, you got anything? I don't know. I mean,
I can't follow that up.
I don't even know either.
He hit at every point, on the head there. Go for it, guys. It is worth it. There are some struggles, there are some obstacles to overcome, but in the end, it's worth it.
It's go reward, believe me.
Absolutely, it is.
Okay, so I know y'all have heard of LMG. It's all over the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what it means. Besides leaner, meaner, greener.
For me, leaner is getting stuff done, efficiently and timely, and, getting it done, moving on to the next thing. Meaner is sticking it to these employers and standing up for what's right and F around, find out.
Yes.
That's also
hard. You don't have to be physical about it, but you can't be meaner about it.
Yeah, and we chanted that in the break room, so management would hear it.
Yes, that was the supervisor. F around and find out, huh? And I said, yeah, you're damn right. When I was walking out the door to go negotiate my contract, yes.
And then greener is greener comes back to the money, at the end of the contract.
That's what we got it for, right?
Right, to take care of our families, we got an unprecedented contract, because of the things that led up.
$8.50 over 4 years.
Yeah,
something that had never been seen. Plus an attendance bonus on top of that. The floor is $2 on that. That's $10.50. All you have to do is bring your ass to work.
Bring your ass to work Mondays, Tuesdays, Saturday.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys for coming here. Thank you guys so much for sitting down with me, because I know I'm a handful, but I hope you can have fun.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, have fun. I really have fun. It's always fun for me. So I just want to end this with thank you again for taking the time to tune in to Teamster Talk. Remember, know your power, use your power, union power, Teamster power. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram on the local page, which is Teamsters Local 455, and our page, Teamster Talk. Also, follow us on YouTube. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you guys enjoyed our talk with Windigo, my brothers from another barn. Well, I would say brothers from another mother, but you kind of are.
We are, yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.